There we go. There we go. It's Sunday morning, y'all. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Good morning, everybody. We're doing a yin class today. If you're not familiar with yin yoga, it's a little bit different than vinyasa. We hold about 10-ish postures, maybe less, maybe more, for up to 3 to 5 minutes. And the purpose is to very gently and slowly release tension in all of our connective tissues in the body. So it's a little bit of a deeper stretch, not deeper, just longer, and you just stay in it and relax in it as long as you can. So when we think about the connective tissues, we think typically muscles, ligaments, that sort of thing. But really when we say connective tissues, we mean fascia, and fascia is a sticky-like substance that covers every single inch of our body on the inside. So if you think of an orange, the white stuff that's surrounding all the parts of the orange, like the actual fruit itself, the inside of the rind, and then like the little white things that you pull off, that's what fascia is in our body. And it's covering our muscles, it's covering our cells, it's covering our ligaments, bones, everything. So when we get injured, when we get sore, when we are working out and our muscles get tight or muscles get sore, what's really happening is a buildup of fascia on that area that's sore or that's injured, and that's where inflammation occurs. So anytime that there's inflammation and you get this buildup of fascia that's around the area, it's just protecting that site from any further damage or injury. But it's also how scar tissue can form as well. So we want to be able to, when you think about deep tissue massage, you're breaking up a lot of that sticky fascia, allowing the muscles to move freely, allowing tension to just release in the body. So that's what yin is. Yin is putting ourselves into a few positions and holding those positions for a long time so that we can very gently and like slowly release that tension, release that fascia. So that is yin. We are going to get started in child's pose. So you're going to need all the props that you can get. I would get a blanket. I would get a bunch of pillows, some blocks. I'm going to toss you this block. And yeah, so that should be it. Just grab some pillows and some blankets, and we're going to get started in child's pose. So the way that you get into child's pose is on hands and knees. You take your knees pretty wide, wider than hips width distance apart, and then you sit back on your heels like so. Walk your hands all the way out. Oh, thank you, honey, for bringing me this mermaid. You walk your hands all the way out. Let your chest sink through your shoulders and rest in between your thighs. And then you rest your forehead on the mat. If you find that this is hard on your knees for any reason, you take a blanket and you put it right on top of your calves and put it up to the crease behind your knees. And then you sit back that way. And then you may find that you need a pillow resting on your forehead if you can't reach your forehead down towards the mat. So it may look something like this. So just set yourself up. We're going to be here for probably three or 4 minutes. So make sure you get relatively comfortable. And we'll start to make some deeper breaths. And just allow the forehead to rock side to side so that you massage the forehead a little bit. Allowing the arms to just lay limp, not really having any sort of active engagement in the arms, just letting them relax into the floor, letting the forearms and the hands settle. Feeling the compression in your hip flexors. Feeling the opening and expansion in your low back and your spine. When you breathe, think about expanding through the belly and through the rib cage and the chest. So making as much space as you can in the center of your body where your lungs are close to. Think about making so much space that you allow all of this new fresh blood and fresh oxygen and fresh energy to flood those areas, flood the organs and your lungs and your heart and your liver and all of that, just letting all of that flush through as you take some deeper breaths. You may start to notice a tingling sensation arise in the knees, maybe in the tops of the feet, maybe in the inner thighs, the groin region. See how long you can drag out your breath. Whenever we hold these poses for a long time, a lot of stuff can start to come up in the head and your thoughts and in your body, and you may think, you may start to think, I really want to get out of this pose, I'm really uncomfortable, or my tingling is getting to be too much. It's a good thing to notice those thoughts, and watch them sort of pop into your head. But anytime you start to feel that way, feel that discomfort, I advise you to always come back to your breath and refocus, redirect your thoughts and redirect your focus and your intention to deep, slow breaths. If at any point discomfort turns to pain, then you can back out of the pose and just come to a comfortable place. We always want to take notice if something is just simply uncomfortable versus painful. Uncomfortable is one thing, but pain is a whole different ballgame that we definitely don't want to get to that point. So this slight discomfort, because we are challenging ourselves, is a good thing. Taking the opportunity to breathe through that discomfort and overcome it because it's only temporary, that sets us up for life off of the mat as well. So anytime you find yourself in an uncomfortable position, or you're feeling out of place or uncomfortable in any way, you can always come back to your breath. Very slowly, you're going to start to rise up onto hands and knees and come out of child's pose. Start to straighten the legs and sink your hips low. You're sort of coming into this like seal-like upward-facing dog pose. You're just letting your hips and your knees drop down. Basically just counterbalancing what we just did in child's pose. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And a deep breath out. Come back to hands and knees. We're going to come to sit seated on our shins. And again, you may need something underneath your knees here for a little bit more comfort on there. And then you may need a prop in between your feet to sit on if you're feeling like this is really uncomfortable on your knees. But what we're gonna do two things in this pose. We're gonna stretch out the feet, and then we're gonna do a little bit of shoulder work as well. So we'll start. We're gonna start with the feet. So tuck your toes underneath you, and then you're gonna sit back on your heels. And this is gonna be pretty uncomfortable for a lot of us because we don't really stretch our feet this much. So I encourage you to, if you're feeling like you're in pain at all, just come out of this. But I also encourage you to sit through that discomfort, knowing that it is temporary. So we'll only be here for about a minute because this is a pretty intense foot stretch. So just come to sit seated on your heels with your toes tucked underneath you, palms resting on tops of the thighs. Close your eyes. And start to take a long, slow, deep breath in. We'll count up to 5. So inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding here just for a moment at the top. And then exhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding here for a moment. And then exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Only a few more seconds here. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose. And then exhale, come back to tabletop, untuck your toes, and just tap the tops of your feet down onto the mat. Woo! That's a hard one. Man, hurts so good. Oh, little toe taps. Okay, the second part of this, we're going to come back to seated on that prop if you have one, back on your knees, just with the tops of your feet resting down. And then you're going to take your arms and take them out wide with the palms facing forward. And then flip your palms so that your palms are facing behind you. Start to bend into the elbows and take your fists together behind your back. If you're feeling like this is pretty easy, see if you can get reverse prayer. See if you can take your hands in prayer behind your back. So you can either be here or with your hands in prayer behind your back. So a little bit of a shoulder opening here. And we're going to be holding for a few minutes. Pull your belly in towards your spine so that you have a nice long spine. You're not curving in that lumbar at all. You're just sitting up nice and straight. Seeing if you can pull your ribs together so your ribs aren't flaring out in front of you. And just settle in here. Noticing what's happening already in the shoulder space. Is it feeling tight? Is it feeling stretched out? Are you getting a tingling sensation? Just making mental notes of what's happening. And taking long, deep breaths here. And anytime you lose that breath and you start to just find your natural breath, come back to those long, steady, controlled inhales and exhales through your nose. Noticing what's starting to come up in the shins and then the knees as you sit in this pose. And then very gently starting to release those hands from behind your back. And we're going to come back onto hands and knees. And just come to standing on your knees for a second and start to roll out your wrists. And just maybe shake them out a little bit. Just counterbalancing everything that we just did. And then you're going to return to your hands and knees. Step your right foot forward, coming into a low lunge position. So your right foot is forward and left knee is on the mat. Place your palms on either side of your foot and then just drag your left knee back a little bit farther. And then come back up to standing on the left knee, come upright and place your palms on top of your right thigh. Just stacked on top of your right thigh. So I have my pelvis slightly tilted here. I usually in a vinyasa class will teach 90-degree angles with the legs, but in a yin class, we definitely want to get a little bit of a deeper stretch here, allowing the pelvis to tilt forward. So go to where your right where your limit is in this stretch, and then just back out of it ever so slightly. And we want to hold in that sort of position. So we don't want to go to our limit, but we want to go right before and stay there so that we can eventually just relax and gently open and increase mobility in that space. So in this case, it's the left quad and the left hip flexor. And take those nice, long, deep breaths. Noticing what's starting to come up in that hip. Maybe the left glute, maybe the left knee, you're feeling some tingling, maybe in the left foot even. Just breathing through it. Take one last deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, we're going to start to straighten that right leg. And you may need some props to place your hands on top of. You're going to straighten that right leg out and place the right heel onto the mat. See if you can keep a 90-degree angle. We're in half splits. See if you can keep a 90-degree angle on your left leg and straight through your right leg. Flex the right foot and pull your toes back towards your shins for just a moment. Feel the opening in the calf as you do this, the upper calf. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, let that right leg go a little bit, just relax it a little bit. So rather than flexing that right foot back pretty hard, just let it relax a little bit. Keep a softer bend in that right knee, so not totally locked out. And see if you can stay upright so that your back remains straight rather than curling over and crunching over. That's why we have these props to rest our hands on. And we're just going to hold here for a few minutes, gently opening up the hamstrings. So again, we don't want to go to our limit. We want to go right before it and just allow ourselves to soften at that place. Finding those nice, long, deeper breaths. Noticing the tingling that may start to arise in the right toes. Take one more deeper inhale breath here. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend into that right knee and place the right knee next to the left. And then step your left foot forward. We're coming into that low lunge again. And you may need to just slide that right knee back a little bit further to set it up. So we're coming into a low lunge on the other side with the left knee forward. And just come to standing upright with the palms stacked on top of the left quadricep. You should feel a pretty nice opening, stretching in the right hip flexor and the right quad here. Long, slow breaths is the name of the game here. We want to really extend the breath for as long as we possibly can and completely focus our awareness on those breaths. If you've lost that deeper breath, come back to it. Noticing what is coming up in that right hip flexor, and the right quad. Noticing if you're feeling any tingling sensations in the right toes or the right foot. And take one long, slow breath here, last breath. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to frame your front foot with your hands and straighten that left leg out. So we're finding that half split. And I want you to stay upright so that your back is straight. And then your right foot is at a 90-degree angle. And just for a moment, flex your left foot as far back as you can go and peel your right toes back towards your shin. You should feel a really nice deep opening in that left quad right at the top. Like so much so that you may be cramping up. Happening right now. Oh yeah, I bet. And then gently just let go of that flex it a little bit, and then we're just going to settle in to half splits here. So again, we don't want to go to our limit. We just want to go slightly before it. And don't try to prevent that left knee from locking out by just keeping a nice soft bend in it, in the left knee. And just allow yourself to relax here, finding that deep, long breath. One last breath here. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend into that left knee and just place it next to the right, back onto tabletop pose. So we're actually going to make our way down to our bellies. So you may need to remove the blankets out of the way if you have it underneath your knees. Remove any props out of the way. We're going to come all the way down to our bellies and then set our forearms in front of us, making the number 11 shape with our forearms. So palms are facing down, wrist creases are pressing into the mat. Elbows are lined up directly underneath your shoulders. The tops of your feet are pressing down into the mat with your pinky toes sort of rolling down in that direction as well. So you roll your pinky toes towards the mat and then press your pubic bone in towards the mat so that you take your tailbone in the direction of your heels. And then you're going to drag your forearms and your hands in the direction of your rib cage to pull your chest through your shoulders and sit a little bit more upright in the Sphinx pose. And we want our chins are slightly tucked so that our neck is mostly straight. So this is Sphinx pose. It's a nice opening for the front body, and we're just going to hold this for a few minutes. So finding those nice long deep breaths here. Try to unclench your glutes if they're squeezed. We tend to do this in back bends, which is okay. But in this pose, see if you can relax them. And I encourage you to close your eyes here as well. If you haven't been closing your eyes throughout class, this is a really nice class to do that in so that you can turn your awareness internally. See if you can pull your shoulders away from your ears and pull your shoulder blades together and down your back. So we're broadening at the collarbones, allowing your neck to be long in its natural curve. Finding those nice, long, deep breaths. Noticing anything that's starting to come up in the shoulders, shoulder blades in the back. Noticing if you're tensing up anywhere. See if you can relax. See if you can let go of any tension that you're holding on to. Take one long, slow, deep breath here. The last breath, so make it the biggest one yet. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to rest your forehead down towards the mat. Take your elbows wide, stack your hands on top of one another, and just rest your forehead on top of your hands. And noticing what happens when you release that pose. Noticing what your back feels like. Noticing what your neck feels like. Feeling your belly press into the mat as you take your deep breaths in. And noticing yourself sink further down into the mat as you exhale. Take one more long deep breath here. And exhale, release. You're going to roll onto your back and then just adjust yourself so that you're on your back on top of or on your mat. So you may need to just roll and shift yourself over. Pull your knees into your chest and give yourself a nice little squeeze. And then you're just going to start to rock and roll up and down the spine until you get up to a seat. You're going to straighten your legs out in front of you. Bend into the right knee and place your the sole of your right foot on the inside edge of your left thigh. You're going to reach your arms up overhead as you inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to fold forward towards that extended leg. You're just going to grab onto anything that you can grab onto here. So it could be your ankle, it could be your foot, it could be just right under your quad, anywhere that you can reach. And we're just going to allow ourselves to relax in this position. So without pulling ourselves too much into this, go right before your limit and then just breathe there and relax there. You may already start to notice feelings in the outer right hip, in the inner right groin maybe, in the left hamstring. But you should definitely feel this in the right side of your back. And we're taking those nice, long, slow breaths here. Anytime you feel your awareness shifting elsewhere, always come back to your breath. Always refocus all of your energy towards your breath. Noticing any tingling that's starting to come up in the right foot, maybe in the right knee. Take one more deep inhale breath through your nose. And as you exhale, you're going to walk yourself back up to sitting straight up. And then extend your right leg long and just shake it out a little bit. So just tap that right knee back down on the mat. You good?
Yeah.
Oh. We're just releasing that right knee. And then bend the left knee, place the sole of the left foot on the inside edge of your right thigh. Sorry, I couldn't think of which leg was. And as you inhale, you're going to reach your arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, you're going to fold over that right leg. So, Ellen, I'll tell you halfway through the switch since you didn't to the side because I don't want you to be off balance.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then again, we just want to go right before our limit and just relax in that. So you want a little bit of a soft bend in that knee so that you're not fully locking out the knee joint. And you're just allowing your upper body to fold over that leg ever so slightly. You're not pulling towards your foot, you're just relaxing in this position as much as you can. Finding that deeper breath. Noticing what's starting to come up in the outer left hip, the left side of your back. Maybe in that left foot. And just taking this time to breathe through those sensations. Okay. Take a few more deep breaths here. One last breath. Big inhale through your nose. And as you exhale, just walk yourself back up to standing or seated straight up. Extend that left leg long and just shake out that left leg. And we're going to make our way down to our back. So slide your hips forward and make your way all the way down to the back. And just draw your knees in towards your chest. Start to make some circles with the knees to just massage the sacrum and the low back. Reversing the direction of the circle. And then place the left foot flat on the mat. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee. And then take your right palm and press it into the top or the outside edge of your right knee so that you can push your knee forward. Keep your left foot flexed. Your right foot flexed. And you can stay here if this is enough for you. If you feel that deep opening in the outer right hip, stay here. If you would like a little bit more, pick the left foot up off of the mat and pull your whole right shin in towards your chest. And then if you'd like to go even further, you can thread your arms through your legs and clasp your hands behind your left thigh, pulling that knee in, pulling your legs in towards your chest even more. And we'll just hold here in this supine figure 4 pose. We'll hold here for a couple minutes. Noticing those feelings that are coming up in that outer hip. And breathing through them. Anything that's coming up for you in this pose, just observing whatever thoughts are sort of floating in and out of your head and not letting yourself become attached to them, just observing from afar and letting them float out just as quickly as they floated in. If you've lost your breath at all, come back to those long, slow, deep breaths. One more big inhale breath through your nose. And then as you exhale, release the clasp of your hand if it's behind your thigh. Release the left foot back down to the mat if it's lifted up. And then you're going to straighten your left leg down. Wrap your arms around your right knee. Straighten your left leg so the heel is rested, your whole leg and your whole heel is rested on the mat. You're just going to draw your right knee in towards your chest and then out towards your right armpit. So arms are totally wrapped around that right thigh or that right shin. This should be a nice little compression in the hip flexor. Take a few deep breaths here. One more breath in through the nose here. And then as you exhale, you're going to draw your right knee across your chest over towards the left side of your mat, all the way over so that you come into a twist. Your right arm comes out straight next to you, like open wide, like a T with the palms facing up. See if you can keep that right shoulder on the mat and just let that left knee hover on the left side of your mat. So we're in this nice twisted pose. Both shoulders should be planted firmly on the mat. You just have a nice twisting sensation in the spine here. Nice, long, slow breaths here if you've lost them. Noticing anything that's starting to come up in that right glute, the right outer hip. Just breathing through those sensations. Take one more deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, you're going to slowly roll back, all the way back to your back. Extending the right leg straight out and long in front of you, and then just reaching your arms up overhead for a moment. So we're reaching in opposite directions and stretching our body long like a nice little good morning stretch. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. As you inhale, place both of your feet flat on the mat again. And then this time we're going to lift our right foot up, left foot up, cross the left ankle over the right knee, find that figure four stretch. So you're going to keep that left foot flexed. Using your left hand, push your left knee forward. If this is enough for you, stay here. If you want a little bit more, lift the right foot up off of the mat. If you want a little bit more from that, thread your arms through your legs and wrap your hands and clasp your hands together behind your right thigh. So right at your right hamstring. And then just pull your legs towards your chest and find a little bit of relaxation here. Allowing the outer left hip to open up gradually. Making sure that you're taking long, slow breaths. Go ahead and take one more deep breath here. And then as you exhale, unclasping the hands, releasing the thigh, releasing the foot back down towards the mat. Stretch your right leg straight out in front of you, resting it flat on the mat, and then wrap your arms around your left shin. You're going to pull your left knee in towards your chest and then over towards your left armpit. So feeling that compression in the left hip flexor. And just take a couple deep breaths here through the nose. Take one more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, you're going to guide that left knee across your body over towards the right with your right hand. Open your left arm out wide with the palms facing up. Keep that left shoulder planted on the mat. We're coming into that supine twist. See if you can keep both shoulders flat on the mat. If you've lost that breath, come back to it. It's really important that we find those deep breaths, especially in the twist poses. They're really, really good for massaging out the organs and flushing out toxins. So this is a really nice pose for that. And the deeper you breath, the deeper you breathe, the better you benefit from this. Go ahead and take one more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly returning to center. Straightening out both legs, reaching your arms overhead, and once again, just stretching in opposite directions. And then just take your arms next to your sides with your palms facing down. So arms are down by your sides, palms facing up. Lift your shoulder blades off of the mat and just pull them together underneath you. And then do the same with your tailbone. So lift your tailbone up and then tuck it underneath you so you can release the back a little bit. And just let your legs open up. Let the outside edges of your feet drop open down towards the floor. Take a slight tuck to the chin. And just enjoy this final resting pose. So everything in the body is fully relaxed here. So anytime that we feel like we're holding on, we're like gripping something or we're holding tension in some space, notice if you're holding on to that anywhere in the body in this moment and let it go if you are. Sometimes we tense up in the shoulders and the hips. Maybe it's in the hands. Maybe your jaw is clenched. Maybe your forehead is creased. You're furrowing your brows. Just let that all go. Lips are slightly parted. Eyes are softly shut with your eyeballs sinking down into the sockets. Tongue is resting in the back of your throat. Just enjoy this last resting pose, Shavasana. Letting go of any breath control that you have, just letting the breath go nice and easy. Just stay here as long as you want. I'm just going to mute the video and shut the camera off, but it'll keep rolling. So again, just stay here as long as you'd like. Thank you guys so much for joining this morning. Happy Sunday.